Just so everyone's not jealous, it's freezing in Orlando. I'm still wearing my coat and I'm in my hotel room. Okay, so today was the first full day of conferencing I've had, and I've been relatively awake, so I'll go ahead and reflect upon it and expand upon the cryptic notes that are in the blog post. The first thing that I attended today was Knowledgeable to Knowledge Able with Dr. Mike Wesch, who is famous for that The Machine is Using Us YouTube video that explained the purpose of Web 2.0 and the mix and match, the ability to reuse information online. One of the main themes of his talk, as well as a theme of a discussion we had later in the day, in fact there were two main themes that kind of echoed throughout the conference sessions I attended this time, and those were the significance of education for students, and the other being the incorporation of rich media, mostly video, and I'll be talking about those both. So starting with significance, and I think it's something that librarians in their instruction struggle with, is finding real world reasons students would want to learn this information. Engaging students in real problems. For example, in the afternoon discussion session that we had, our challenge was to come up with solutions on how to engage today's 21st century students. And one of the challenges that one of the members of my group brought up was that they're expecting they've purchased an education nowadays. It seems like college education is a product, so whenever they show up to class or attend an online class or something like that, they're expected to be given answers, to be given information, to be able to pass a test and get their degree. So they're not approaching it from a standpoint of coming in expected to do work and figure things out themselves. It's more about, I paid for it, now give me the information I need to know to get my degree. So how do you tackle that problem in higher education? And the answer that came up in our group discussion as well as in Mike Wesch's presentation was that of significance, making the experiences people have in classes significant. We also talked about having authentic learning experiences, and to be quite honest with you, it sounded like the same thing that we've heard in education for years on how to make how to engage students, how to get them to have intrinsic motivation to want to learn. So I didn't think there was anything terribly new. Mike Wesch did show how he's using technology in innovative ways, and his class website was quite impressive. One of the things that they did is they created shared lecture notes using a wiki, and oddly enough, the wiki came up in our evening discussion as well on how you can have students come up with the exam questions themselves. So that's asking them to listen to a lecture and determine for themselves what they thought was important in the lecture and then generate exam questions from that. So it asks them to be critical about the things that they're hearing to figure out what's important and what's not in a lecture. The other theme that kind of ran throughout the day was the use of video. The first session that I attended after Mike Wesch's opening session was academic storytelling that works with a couple of people from the Ohio State University. One of the things that I took from that, and there'll be a link to their website on the blog, but their focus was on academic storytelling, getting faculty and staff members to create these videos that would translate what they do every day into into everyday language, I guess is what I'm going for. So for example, one of the videos that they showed was I believe it was a physics professor who was talking about his research with lasers, and it didn't go into the nitty-gritty of laser research, but it told about how he got interested in lasers. It was it was done such that there was music in the background. The way he talked about it was one of wonder, and you could sense in his voice and through the images that were shown on the screen that why he got really interested in the field, and it translated very well to the non-academic. And I think that was one of their messages they had, is that we who spend our days in higher education, we don't often remember what it's like to live in the real world. And part of the project was taking these their research interest, faculty, people in academia, and having them tell a story in a way that other people could engage with it. I think that this could be a great idea for, well, one of the problems with librarianship is our lack of diversity in our workforce. There's an inordinate amount of homogeneity in our workforce. So one of the things I'm working on at ALA as part of the Emerging Leaders Program in Denver over the next couple of days is looking at the marketing plan for librarycareers.org. And I thought, being able to tell the story of what it's like to be a librarian to people that have no idea of what it's like to be a librarian in a way that captivates the imagination and why we became librarians in the first place would be a really good marketing tool to attract people who might not otherwise think that librarianship would be a good way to go. I also attended something called Lights, Camera, Action, and over the past semester, Gretchen and I conducted an assignment called Campaign '08 with Rebecca Dean's political science class, as well as a bunch of English 1302 classes. And in these projects, actually in the political science version of the project, they created YouTube videos that determined whether or not, well, that hypothesized whether or not McCain or Obama would win a particular state. And they used evidence to back up what they were saying in the video. But what this session is, Lights, Camera, Action, what they were attempting to do was to provide a way to evaluate video in terms of new media literacy. And one of the things that they started off with was talking about visual literacy, how you can take messages from images just by the lines and the colors and the shapes and the themes that are in the images. And at first I was listening to this and thinking, how does this visual literacy apply? Isn't the content of the video, the argument that they're making, isn't that what they really should be graded on? Not the visual design of it, but as I talked about it a little bit more, one of the things that I found interesting is that if students have prior knowledge of visual design, and they know that if they if they intersperse their videos exactly like this, or they put this particular image with this lighting shade in their video, that it's going to affect a response in their viewers. If they know that beforehand, they can create much more interesting video using this new literacy, this new understanding of how people watch and react to videos. So I thought both of those sessions were really well done. And to cap off the day, we did talk about how to engage today's students, and there was a lot of good discussion going on there. And I'm drawing a blank on it mostly right now because we went to Bongo's, Gloria Estefan's restaurant in Disneytown. Yes, you can make fun of me whenever I get back to Arlington. Anyway, that's what I did today. I've taken notes on the blog. There are links to a variety of things on there. And I'd love to talk with you about it whenever I get back if you've got interest in it. All right. Thanks for listening.